I'm here from the Tom Gulley Show with yet another of our cold opens. Today I'm going to tell you about a revolutionary and amazingly luxurious car. Perhaps the most luxurious car in American history, although over 100 years old. And that is, of course, the Duesenberg. We'll discuss that in greater detail as we go on. Of course, and I always explain the reason we do the cold open and the reason that we do, the songs I'm about to play from our amazing musical director, Leon Kennedy, is because, as well as being an audio podcast, we're a live streaming YouTube show. And as a matter of fact, you can get most of the information about this show in the description of our YouTube broadcast. But if you are listening to an audio podcast and you arrive and there's just a bunch of music, you might quite rightfully, very naturally think, well, this is just a bunch of music. I don't know. I'm a podcast person. I want to hear some talking. I want to hear some chatter. So I have to explain that. Sometimes I'll throw in an amusing anecdote of the day. Of course, today I don't have one, but still, sometimes I do. I could talk about the numerous emails I got about the salty language on our last program with Reverend Bob Levy. Not on my part. That's why I got the numerous emails. I don't work blue ever. And Bob does. So, back in my podcast only days, I used to interview very controversial figures, and they would sometimes ask me, can I curse on this program? And I would say, well, I'm not gonna. You can, because I didn't want to censor their speech and blah, blah, blah. But on this show, it just rarely happens. So I apologize. I feel shame. And I do have some good news for you. We have another incredible addition to the pantheon of amazing tunes that Leon Kennedy just keeps cranking out for our show. I think you're really going to like this one. It is, it's a mover and a shaker. It's called Let Me Tell You About the Groove, and then we'll follow it up with our Christmas song, which we can only play, really, for one more show. Till next year, of course. And with that, well, we'll see you in about 6 minutes, or just, if you're an audio podcast person that hates music, just fast forward through it. You'll be okay.
Let me tell you about the sound. Let me tell you about
Hey, everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking tonight? Let me tell you about the Duesenberg. And you're probably going, what's that? It's an amazing car. If you're a car person, you already know about the Duesenberg. But probably 100 years, more than 100 years ago, it's a company that not only was revolutionary, things that are on your car were developed by this company. It's arguably the most luxurious automobile ever created. There's good reasons for that. We'll tell you all about it in just a second. First, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those free things that you can do to help our little show with the algorithm, the almighty algorithm. Plus, you'll look cool to your friends. We've got super chats. We've got the memberships, the gifted memberships. It is the gifting season. And we also have the PayPal. It's all in our YouTube description. PayPal's great because you give the most, I get the most. Google doesn't get anything. Plus, if you go to the TomGulleyShow.com, our merchandise store is there. It's got a wide variety of top quality name brand items, sure to beguile and amuse your friends. In addition, we've got our audio podcast on Podbean. That's in our YouTube description too, or you can just search for the Tom Gulley Show. It's also on Apple Music and the rest of them. I don't keep a list. Get them where you get them. Anyway, all that being said, we're going to check our chat room very quickly. Well, royalty indeed. Our musical director, Leon Kennedy, who created that new song some of you just heard. I'm going to play it at the end too. It is so awesome. He's here tonight. They didn't know I was live. Well, I'm going to be live tomorrow night, skip Christmas, and then Friday night. Tomorrow night is about Generation Jones, which is amongst these demographic, boomers and Gen X and Gen Z. There's a new one that they've created because boomers is just too big, and there's a cultural divide within the boomers. So they've created Generation Jones. I'll tell you about that. And then on Friday, we're going to cover the inexplicable disappearance and other details of a man by the name of Daniel Glenn Lewis. The details of it and the circumstances surrounding it are bizarre. And there's more than one. It is inexplicable. That's the only way I can put it. And then on Sunday, one of our listeners asked for a show on the TV series Barney Miller. So we will be doing that on Sunday. So there you are. Sky is here. He's H2BH. He's happy to be here. He's applauding Leon Kennedy's new banger of a song. Let me tell you about the groove. Let me tell you about Tom Gulley. Tim Jenkinson's here. Good to see him from across the pond as well. He says it's good that Arsenal haven't crushed your hopes before Christmas. Yeah, Arsenal also today in the English Football League Cup won in penalty kicks, 8-7. Long penalty kick process there. All of our reserves were playing. It was Crystal Palace. It was. Don't worry about it. At any rate, let's get down to today's topic, which of course is the Duesenberg, okay? Duesenberg Automobile and Motor Company. By the way, there is a museum for the Duesenberg in Auburn, Indiana, just north of Fort Wayne. I've been to it. Also, a giant car show there every year. One of my Facebook pages, either my personal or my Tom Gulley Show Facebook page, has hundreds of pictures I took from this car show, some of which were Duesenbergs, but every kind of cool muscle car, every awesome car you can imagine was there. I got pictures of them. But the Duesenberg Automobile and Motor Company was a revolutionary thing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you. It was an American racing and luxury automobile manufacturer, founded actually in Indianapolis by brothers Fred and August Duesenberg in the year of 1920. Over 100 years ago, 105 years ago. The company is known for popularizing two very revolutionary technologies I'll tell you about in a little while. Also, Duesenberg was the first American car to win a Grand Prix race, winning the 1921 French Grand Prix. The Duesenbergs were also very highly rewarded at the Indianapolis 500, and I'll tell you about that. Transportation executive Eric Laban Cord acquired the company in 1926, and there's some details about that that we'll get into as well. But Fred and August Duesenberg began designing engines in the early 1900s after Fred, one of the brothers, by the way, here's a stock certificate from the Duesenberg Automobile and Motor Company. You can examine that at your leisure. Fred became involved with bicycle racing. So the brothers designed a vehicle in 1905, and they formed the Mason Motor Car Company in 1906 with funds from a lawyer, Edward R. Mason, in Des Moines, Iowa. FL and Elmer Maytag, yes, Maytag, acquired a majority stake in the company and renamed it Maytag Mason, and they sold their stake in 1912. So the Duesenbergs packed up their kit bag and moved to St. Paul, Minnesota, where they established the Duesenberg Motors Company in 1913. Eddie Rickenbacker. You know who Eddie Rickenbacker was? He was a fighter pilot in World War I and a Medal of Honor recipient. 26 aerial victories, the most successful and the most decorated U.S. flying ace of the war, and then became a race driver. Well, as a race driver, he drove the first Duesenberg-designed vehicle to race at the Indianapolis 500. And during World War I, the Duesenbergs designed and built aircraft engines in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Elizabeth, New Jersey. A Duesenberg driven by Tommy Milton won the 1919 Elgin Trophy. But also in 1919, the brothers sold their St. Paul factories and they relocated to Indianapolis, Indiana, where they founded a slightly differently named company, the Duesenberg Automobile and Motors Company, manufacturing the Duesenberg Model A starting in 1920. Now, the brothers assumed engineering roles after signing over the naming rights and patents for Duesenberg engines to some promoters. The first Model A was commissioned by Hawaiian businessman and politician Samuel Northrop Castle. It was the largest engine in a commercially available vehicle at the time and was the very first to have hydraulic brakes on all of its wheels, which was a big like advancement. The company continued to build race cars as well. And as I mentioned, a Duesenberg won the 1921 French Grand Prix, the first American car to do so, okay? Duesenberg cars also performed very, very well at the Indianapolis 500 during the 1920s, winning the race in 1922, 1924, 1925, and 1927. Now, this is the 1922 winner right here, okay? This is the 1922 winner. Hold on a second here, because I got to tell you something about this 1922 winner. Come on, where's the notation? Is that it right there? Oh yeah, here we go. It was called the Murphy Special, and this is the same car actually that won the 1921 French Grand Prix. You know, same car won the 1922 Indianapolis 500, and dig this. This car here won the 1922 Indianapolis 500. This company had been in existence for 2 years. But that's not the big news. It probably is the big news. But also is big, 8 of the top 10 finishers in the 1922 Indianapolis 500 were Duesenbergs. And there's some reasons for that we'll get into a little bit later. Okay? The company kind of struggled financially. This was a luxury automobile. Not everybody could buy one. And it entered receivership in 1924. Receivership is a thing where the company's not bankrupt, but it's in bad enough states that it's placed in the hands of a person who has custodial responsibility of it, because that will financially stabilize the company. Okay. And it was subsequently purchased by Arit Loben Cord in 1926. So August Duesenberg's role in the passenger car side of the business declined after Cord took over, and he worked primarily in the racing division after 1926, designing all Duesenberg race cars built from that year until the company went out of business. Now, 2 years later, Cord had the Duesenbergs make a new model to outclass all other American cars. And so in 1929, the company began selling the Duesenberg Model J, which was powered by a 265 horsepower straight 8 engine. The thing about the Duesenberg was they really only sold the engine and the chassis and stuff. The body of the car and the cabin of the car were custom built by coach builders. So you bought the Duesenberg, and then you got another company. You could pick any company you wanted to finish it out very luxuriously. And prices for these cars ranged from $14,000 to $20,000 in 1920. An astronomical sum in today's dollars. Duesenbergs were considered to be among the most luxurious cars ever made. Historian Donald Davidson called them the most prestigious passenger car in American history and compared them as to being an American version of the Rolls-Royce. The vehicles were popular with movie stars, royalty, and other wealthy individuals. The company was sold by Cord and dissolved in 1937. The last Duesenberg made by the original company was completed in 1940 and was commissioned by German artist Rudolf Bauer and completed by August Duesenberg after the company had shut down. In 1998, the Franklin Mint started producing collectible scale models of the Duesenberg Coupe Simone, a fictitious custom-made luxury car allegedly manufactured in the late 1930s. But there have been several unsuccessful attempts to revive the Duesenberg name. This is one of them that was created in the 1990s, I believe. Many attempts before that. August Duesenberg failed to restart the company in 1947. An attempt by his son Fritz and car designer Virgil Exner to revive the brand failed after production of one concept car in 1966. In 1970, Bernard Miller bought the Duesenberg Corporation and produced the SSJ model from templates taken from an original Duesenberg. The body was aluminum over ash. There were grand plans for over 300 of these to be produced, but the company's lifespan of 1970 to 1974 only produced 8 Duesenbergs. The Duesenberg II, you're looking at one now on the screen. In 1978, Elite Heritage Motors acquired the trademark for Duesenberg and started producing handmade Duesenberg II cars in Elroy, Wisconsin, under the name of Duesenberg Motors Company. The Duesenberg II retained the styling of the cars from the 20s and the 30s, but included some modern updates like stereo systems, air conditioning, and an automatic transmission. Each Duesenberg 2 was precisely measured using an original as a template. Over 5,000 man-hours of craftsmanship was put into each car. In 1981, a new Duesenberg 2 Royalton had a base price of $125,000. The company produced several models, including a torpedo sedan and a Phaeton. This is the Phaeton that you're looking at, and a Murphy Roadster. And they produced a total of 67 cars in the 20 years they were in business. Another attempt to revive them was made in 1996, but the first car was the Duesenberg Model A. Okay, the Model A. Now, this is the touring Model A, which was created in 1923. Okay, and there were some created in 1921. This 1923 version, I think, was the one that really popularized the Duesenberg. But it was powered by, and this company made their own engines. I'm going to show you one of their own engines here in a second. The Duesenberg straight 8 engine. Okay, it was an 8-cylinder engine, a straight 8, that was the first car to be manufactured and mass-produced with a straight 8. That was revolutionary. The purchase price for one of these was $6,500, equivalent to $120,000 in today's money. A Duesenberg Model A introduced several innovative features, like an overhead camshaft, okay? And that's a piston engine where the cams are located in the cylinder head above the combustion chamber. Basically, what became the standard for engines for forever, okay? They are the ones that did that. 4-valve cylinder heads and the first 4-wheel hydraulic brakes offered on a passenger car. Not 2-wheel, not 1-wheel, 4 wheels. All wheels had their own individual brakes on them. And it had the largest engine of any consumer vehicle at the time of its production. And remember, Duesenberg built those engines. The Duesenberg Model A experienced various delays going from prototype to production. Deliveries to dealers didn't start until December of 1921. Sales lagged, and Duesenberg couldn't meet the 100 vehicles per month quota as the Indianapolis plant struggled to roll out one every day. In 1922, no more than 150 Duesenberg Model A's were manufactured, with only a total of 650 units sold over a period of 6 years. I'm going to tell you about the Model X in just a second. Let's get to a few of your very, very insightful, well-informed, and knowledgeable comments in our chat room. The most cheerful chat room on the internet, is verified by independent sources. Leon Kennedy says, Tom reminds me of my friend Pete, whom I used to drive to work. He was a Spurs fan. Hey now, don't, please, Leon, please, let's not ruin things between us by comparing me to a Spurs fan. I'm sure he would have a lot to say about Arsenal. I love Arsenal. Glorious, glorious Arsenal, yes. Glorious, nothing better. I don't think I'm doxing myself here when I show you my phones. Okay. I probably have some other stuff around here. Tim Jenkinson says cycle car racing seems like it was popular at one point. Yes. Tim Jenkinson said, did he make the guitars? No. Chef is here. He's in the kitchen. He is a real chef. Tim Jenkinson says, it's crazy the lack of safety features on those old racing cars. The quality and craftsmanship in old things were so much better than the junk today. And also, no planned obsolescence, we like to call it. It's like they weren't manufactured to break at a certain point, or only they were made to last forever. Leon Kennedy says, I don't watch football, but I'm a Stoke supporter. Basically, eternal suffering. Yes, but Stoke. Gordon Banks. You'll always have Gordon Banks. And I believe Peter Shilton was his understudy at Stoke as well. Tim Jenkinson says an American made a company in the UK called Lagonda. He was from Ohio. They were nice-looking cars. Yeah, some of the sort of lesser-known car companies really made great things. There is a car company, and I should just do a show on it. I've known about this company for I don't know how many years, 15 at least. And it's called Elio Motors. It's a 3-wheeled, 1-seat tandem car. It's I think gone electric. They but they haven't sold any to my knowledge. But they've been like advertising this car for forever. You know, gearing up. You can put a down payment. I don't know how many they've made, if they've made any. I've seen them. They have prototypes and they're around. But when it first came out, it was a $7,400 car that got 84 miles per gallon. 2 wheels in the front, 1 in the back. Elio, E-L-I-O. You can check it out sometime. I should do a show on it. In fact, I'm writing this down right now. Elio Motors. Elio. I think they're electric now. 1-seater. Anyway. The Model X. Okay. I'm just going to show you a 1930s Duesenberg just for the heck of it. Look at that. Is that not just... It just says luxury just by looking at it. But the Model X is a sportier version of the Model A with a heavier and longer chassis, 100 horsepower engine that enabled it to reach 100 miles an hour, which was a big deal back then. The most notable differences between the A and the X were that the latter had hypoid differentials and the valves were on one side, all of the valves. The Duesenberg Model X chassis is an upgrade over the Model A chassis, offering a reworked 260 cubic inch straight 8 engine, overhead cams, new crankshaft, revised valve train, improved pistons, and superior intake manifold. Power is 100 horsepower, which made driving 100 miles an hour possible. The chassis length increased to 136 inches, which is, a little over 11 feet. With additional reinforcements, improved leaf springs are mounted above the frame rails and lowering the center of gravity. The Duesenberg Model X chassis is the rarest Duesenberg street production chassis ever made, with only 13 manufactured. Only 5 have been known to have survived. Then came the Model J. Model J was created and by the way, you're looking at a Model J, not a Model X. I'm so sorry. The first Model J was created in 1927, and the first cars were delivered in 1929, just before the onset of the Great Depression. About 300 of these were completed by 1930, short of the original 500 vehicle goal. This engine was 420 cubic inches and based on the company's racing engines of the 20s, and was manufactured actually by another Cord company called Lycoming. It output 265 horsepower, aided by dual overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, making it the most powerful car of its time. It was capable of a top speed of 116 miles an hour, 88 miles an hour in second gear. Duesenberg historian Randy Ema wrote that the Model J spurred change in engine design single-handedly, starting the horsepower race that drove the number of cylinders from 12 to 16, but noted even those engines could not match the Model J's output power. Here's the Model J engine right there. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. Only the chassis and the engine of the Model J were displayed. As I mentioned earlier, the body and cabin of the car were custom built per the custom of luxury vehicles at that time. The company's chief body designer, Gordon Burig, designed around half of the Model J bodies, while the remainder were designed by coach builders around the world, like luxury coach builders like Gurney Nutting, which was an English firm that built these things by hand. They were all made by hand. Another called Murphy out of Pasadena, California, and Durham out of Philadelphia. And these were companies that were coming out of the previous era that made actual coaches, for a horse-drawn carriage. So they were used to making extremely well-appointed interiors and items of great luxury. I should also point out that there was no standard, because radio was becoming a big deal in the 30s, the end of the 20s and into the 30s. There was no standard radio in a Duesenberg. You got to pick. When you had your body and cabin build, you got to pick a Philco, whatever kind you wanted. And radios from Duesenbergs are highly prized and stylized in different ways due to the custom nature of these builds. The J was available in two versions of chassis with a different wheelbase. The supercharged Model J, referred to as the SJ, was reported to have reached 104 miles an hour in second gear and have a top speed of 140 miles per hour in third gear. 0 to 60 in 8 seconds, which for the 20s and 30s, pretty good. 0 to 100 in 17 seconds. Despite the fact that this car, the supercharged, didn't have a synchronized transmission. All the other best cars of the era were not likely to even reach 100 miles per hour. The SJ was introduced in 1932. Only 36 of them were built. A special version of the SJ, the Mormon Meteor, broke several land speed records. And that was driven by a driver called Ab Jenkins, who was from Utah, and he was a Mormon. And he was legendary for breaking speed records for quite some time. Now, investors in New York originally supported the Model J, but following the stock market crash of 1929, the market for Model J switched to Hollywood stars pretty much only. The one-off FJ 20 Grand was produced in 1933 for the Century of Progress World's Fair to show Duesenberg's, industry-leading progress. Two modified Model Js, known as the SSJ, were produced in 1935 for actors Gary Cooper and Clark Gable. The SSJ reportedly produced 400 horsepower, 400, and could go 0 to 60 in less than 8 seconds. Gary Cooper's SSJ sold for, get this, $22 million in 2018, making it the most expensive American car ever sold at auction. About 378 of the 481 Model Js of all types existed as of about 20 years ago. Now, how did it go out of business? Well, the company was sold and dissolved in 1937, and it was the only, I might add, inexplicably, well, maybe not inexplicably considering the price, it was the only American car company to go bankrupt during the Great Depression and not be rescued by the U.S. government, largely a political move due to New Deal policies that were trying to avoid helping the richest and most prosperous Americans, despite Duesenberg being the largest employer in Indianapolis at the time. So with that, closed out the history of one of the most revolutionary and one of the most, luxurious automobiles ever created. I have had the privilege of riding in a Duesenberg. And I did that, I don't know, a little over 10 years ago. It was like riding on air. This car was just absolutely amazing. Now, there is a place you can go there. It's called the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Automobile Museum, okay? And it's located in Auburn, Indiana. Opened in 1974, and it's dedicated to preserving cars built by, the Duesenbergs. It's actually located in the former administration building of the Auburn Automobile Company, and it's got amazing collections and obviously a selection of Duesenbergs there for you to look at. In addition, that Duesenberg straight 8 engine, okay, it was produced from 1921 to 1937 and sold in Duesenberg automobiles. Revolutionary for its single and double overhead camshafts, 3 and 4 valve heads, superchargers, aluminum castings. This was a car that was doing things, and an engine that was doing things that have never been done before. There was also a Duesenberg 16-valve straight 4, which was a precursor to all that. And it, too, was revolutionary. But the straight 8 existed for a long time. They don't build too many 8-cylinder cars anymore, but the ones they do build, you can venture a guess, may still have the straight 8. I don't know. A car person could tell me differently. Let's see here. Tim Jenkins says, they've been waiting for 15 years for you to trade in the Jag for one. I ain't trading in the Jag. I might sell it, but I ain't trading in it. You know what I was thinking today? And maybe I should do a show. I just wrote down Elio. I might do a show on the Jag that I used to have. I was driving my S-Type, which I really love. I like the look of it. It's not quite as luxurious as that XJ8 Grand Vandenpla that I had. And I kind of wish I didn't get rid of it. The real reason I got rid of that car was it just was such a big car. It's like a diplomat's car. And I didn't need that much car. I'm one guy, But it was luxury, and plus I had fully restored it, and this one I'm still in the process of, so it's not a hassle, and it is fun to restore them, but it's just not perfect yet. So when it's perfect, I'll probably change my mind. But man, I love that car, and I love the one that I have now. So anyway, I digress. Tim Jenkins says, the old metal bumpers before they started considering pedestrians getting hit by cars. That engine compartment is cleaner than my fridge. Yeah, that is nice. That is nice. Yeah, that engine must have weighed a ton. There it is again. Look at that. But you go to these car shows and all the engines look that way, man. None of them look, well, sometimes you'll see a 50s Studebaker that just looks like, those Studebakers were rust buckets. There's not a lot of the Studebakers around because they were rust buckets. Gene's here. My uncle had parts of one of Tom Mix's cars. Tom Mix had a few of these cars. I imagine so. Tom Mix was he was probably the biggest Hollywood star of his time. Leon Kennedy said Tom drove the Duesenberg when it was new. Julian Caesar said those Duesenbergs are real doozies. I wonder if that's how the saying got started. I'm just going to go ahead and say it was. That's a real doozy. But the Duesenberg was just, and when you heard people like my grandfather, who grew up in Indianapolis area anyway, and then in Indianapolis, he was actually born in Claremont. Brian Lauder is here. Hey, Mr. Tom Gulley Show. Merry Christmas to you and your family. Brian Lauder rocks, man. He really does. I'm a big fan of his. And Merry Christmas to you and yours. and very happy New Year and prosperity and Feliz Navidad and Prospero Años, Feliz Navidad. I think we're going to have, I encourage you all to stay to listen to the new song Leon Kennedy has done for us. It's amazing. But when you heard my grandfather, who I think was born, yeah, I take a lot of heat for being an old guy. My grandfather was born in, Bumble. Anyway, my grandfather was born in 1896. Yes, 1896. And so he would have been in his early 20s living in Indianapolis where they built the Duesenberg. So he would have seen Duesenbergs. And he would talk about them with such great reverence. It was unreal. Absolutely unreal. The level of craftsmanship and quality and attention to detail and the engines, which were revolutionary. I wonder if I can, let me see here. Do I want to try and during the show, let me during the show try to bring up an image here. Whoops. I don't know if I've just made a black screen here. Well, I did. I made a black screen. So you'll be looking at a black screen, those of you who aren't audio podcasting this right now. And who knows what will happen after that. Let me see here. Let me see here if I can find one of my Jags. One of my Jaguars to put up here, just because somebody asked about it. I don't know if I've had those up here or not. Oh, come on. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, this will be one. This will be one. It's not the greatest shot. Forget where I was when I had this taken, but yeah, there it is. God, I miss that car. Great googly moogly, I miss that car. I really do. I think I got other pictures of it. We might have to do one on the XJ8. We really might have to. Great gosh, I miss that car. I really do. I so miss that car. All right, let me see here. It was a beautiful car, by the way. Yes. Tim Jenkins says, isn't it a nightmare getting Jaguar parts in America? Well, Tim, first of all, I go to a guy that is the premier, like, Jaguar non-dealer guy. He's been in business. I think his father started the business, and he joined it, and it's been 40 years. So if there are Jaguar-specific parts he needs, fine. But I only own, and I will only own, Jaguars that were built when it was owned by Ford. So a certain number of the parts are Ford parts. They're not that difficult to get. Certain others are not. And occasionally, but I've never waited more than a day or two to get a part. And I haven't really needed that many parts. And I'm talking a headlight, which I don't even know where those are made now, but no, it's not a problem. Not a problem at all. That's my old Jag. This is the 2005 XJ8 Vanenpla. This is the most luxurious of the Jaguars you can get. You can see the leaper on the front. I have a million other pictures of this car. That's just the one that I found real fast. But there's no higher version of a Jaguar than that one, at least during that time period, in terms of luxury, It fold down seats in the back with video. If you're in England, you could actually watch TV on it. It wouldn't do that here in the United States. For 2005, it was revolutionary to have a video screen. I'll just do a show on it. I've got it written down. I'll just do a show on it. But do I miss that vehicle? I was thinking about it today. I was driving it yesterday, and I was like, this is really great. I like the smaller car. It is only a 6-cylinder. That was an 8-cylinder. And I thought, oh boy, I really miss that car. But see, it was kind of a pain to park at certain places. It was just a big car. It was like 17 feet long. I mean, big car. So anyway, Tim Jenkins says, oh, true. They have a lot of Ford parts. I forgot about that. Yeah, it was really the best of both worlds. It was the Jaguar design, which everybody loves that. But then it was the Ford build, which alleviated a lot of the problems in the fit and especially the electrical that they had with a lot of the Jaguars. And it just standardized it. Ford's good at that. And so, unfortunately, that was during a time when Mercedes and BMW were creating a lot of new mid-range cars from those brands. And so the competition with Jaguar was a lot. And Ford ended up keeping a lot of the technology that they created for these Jaguars, much of which exists in the Ford pickups. The Jaguars that they made at that time had what they call a monocoque, but it just means kind of chassis and internal body, made of reinforced aluminum with the special treatment that made that aluminum super. It was like 30% stronger, 40% lighter, or the reverse of that, 40% stronger, 30% one of the two. And so they use that for the trucks now. And that's why people would see my 8-cylinder car and they would, as huge it is, and they would, I must get terrible gas mileage. Well, no, it actually got decent in the city, but on the highway, once you get that sucker moving, I got 35 miles a gallon on the highway in that big, giant luxury car, which is pretty good. So anyway, I haven't tweaked the engine on my new one enough to know really what that's going to do, and I don't drive on the highway as much as I used to. Tim Jenkins, yeah. So anyway, hey, please like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell, all those free things you can do. That, man, it helps us out with that algorithm so much. If you're listening to our audio podcast, oh, by the way, we have gifted membership, so you can look cool. It's Christmas time. For those of you listening to our audio podcast, our YouTube description has a ton of places you can get more stuff. You obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, you got it from somewhere. It's either Podbean or Apple Music or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. But there's stuff like my website, TomGulleyShow.com, where I take selected podcasts. It's also got audio podcasts from before our live streaming era. There's 250 of those with famous politicians and writers, award-winning, best-selling writers, musicians, actors, and then just also me screwing around. So check it all out. We'd love for you to enjoy it if you like it, and then if you don't enjoy it, then just leave it alone. But tell a friend, look, I'm first to admit, this show isn't for everybody. It's schizophrenic, all right? It's tomorrow's show is on Generation Jones. You guys probably don't even know what that is. I didn't know what it is till I found out about it. So you got the boomers, and then you got Gen X. And if you're a boomer, no names mentioned, where's Terry Nee? You don't really belong in the group with the people born in 1946. I mean, that's not culturally your scene, man. And so Generation Jones is sort of a cultural split in the boomer thing, right? That groups people together in a more because, that's a long time. And I'll explain it tomorrow. And then Friday, we've got another disappearance that can't be possibly explained. Daniel Glenn Lewis, that'll freak you out, man. It is, there's so many elements of it that can't possibly make sense. It's wacky. And then Barney Miller on Sunday. So I realize, it's on purpose. It's by design. And I know that if I did true crime only or TV only or this only, hey, probably would appeal to more people. I kind of want to appeal to people that just want to hear something interesting. And I get it. If there's a subject you see on my show and you go, I don't care about that. Hey, man, skip it. I ain't mad at you. Come back on in when there's something you like. And every now and then we'll have a Bob Levy come on, or an Ed Robertson, or a Russell Alexander, or a person to be named later. That's what we're doing here. I get it. I like smart people. There's fewer of those than the other kind. And eclectic. I like eclectic. I like, people that want to. And that's why we're interactive. I want to hear what you guys have to say. So anyway, upcoming shows, I'm not even going to get into those. I'll program those all over the holiday and stuff. Oh, well, I'll tell you a little bit. We're going to do Smothers Brothers. Somebody wants my top 10 concerts. I don't know why. Madeline Murray O'Hare. First of all, the atheist of all time, but also weird disappearance. Weird. Elio Motors, the XJ8, the Hayes office. I'll tell you about them. A lot of people don't even know what the Hayes office is. I'll tell you what it is, man. I'll tell you. Let's see. The Pencil Sharpener. We'll do a show on that. Yeah, who could go without that? The Great White Concert Disaster. We'll tell you about that. What else have we got here? George Plimpton. Yeah, I'll tell you about George Plimpton. Whiteout. We got a lot of shows coming up. Gene says wartime babies. Yeah, like I wasn't in the draft for Vietnam. Other boomers were. It's Generation Jones. It's going to make sense when I explain it tomorrow. Tim Jenkinson says it's always interesting. Plus, you always do good research for this show. Well, I'm trying to get better. Trying to tell a little story here. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make it a little bit. And I'm also thinking about people that like audio podcasts. So the people I think of the most are the truckers. I have been a person that from time to time in my life, not frequently or anything, but have had to make long car trips. And there's nothing better than a good podcast to make the time fly by. If only I was making one of those. But still, if you're having trouble sleeping on the road and you've pulled over, one of these will out like a light, man. We'll be sawing logs in no time. What do we got? Just a few minutes here. If there's no other questions or stuff or suggestions, maybe you guys have a car you like. Maybe you've got a show you'd like me to do. Let me know right now. We'll indulge that for a couple of seconds. But then we're going to shut it down. And the first thing we do when we do shut it down is I'm going to play our new song from the amazing Leon Kennedy. And you're not going to believe it. Not only will you not believe the song, it's so good, you're really not going to believe the illustration he did. That you will not believe. That you will not believe. Tim Jenkinson says lowering the blood pressure of truckers stuck in traffic. Yeah. I used to have a CB radio, and I had it in a Geo Storm. I installed it myself. And that was a car that I did take long car trips in a bunch of times. It was it's probably the mid to late 90s. And I would just jump in the car and drive to St. Louis, or I'd drive to Tampa from Indianapolis, or I'd drive down here to Dallas from Indianapolis. And I was on the road, the highways a lot. And I was such the trucker's friend. I recall distinctly on the Briarley Parkway in a huge traffic jam one time, I saw this trucker that couldn't get off of the merge getting into this just insane traffic jam. So I got on my CB, and he was at, I don't know if you've been on the road, but there's a trucking company called JB Hunt. And so I knew what to do. I'm like, hey, Mr. JB Hunt, trying to merge on Riley Parkway. How you doing? He's like, I'm just stuck here. Nobody will let me in. I go, I'm in that, this is that Silver Bullet. That was my handle on the CB. Guess what? I'm going to make about 1,000 people mad. I'm going to stop right in front of that exit until the traffic clears and you can get off of it. And I did. People were honking and just crazy mad. But for the rest of my trip, because he was going the same direction as me, south, on, let's see, US 65, was it? Or was it 70? I can't remember. Whatever goes through Nashville all the way down to Florida. Might have been 74, 75. I can't remember. I was with him that whole time, and he was like, hey, let this guy in the storm get into the convoy, give him the hammer lane. Going up a hill, he'd always say, give him the hammer lane, because I could go up the hill faster than they could. And it was wonderful. I was the trucker's friend. I did that a million times. Another time, I was going to St. Louis on 70 West, and this car that looked kind of like a police car came, off of an off-ramp, and everybody freaked out. We got a state trooper, whatever. And because they were way up high. And so they couldn't necessarily see the side of the door till they got up on him. But I was right next to him. And it was the Secretary of State or something like that for the state of Illinois. And I'm like, guys, that's not a cop. Because it had party lights on top of it. And I remember I got big laughs because I went, he's like the surgeon. And I said, that's not a cop. That's the Secretary of State for Illinois. He's like the Surgeon General. He's all dressed up, but he's not going to shoot nobody. Oh, they love that. I like the truckers. Tim Jenkins says cycle cars could be interesting to cover. I'm amazed they haven't come back as pedal assist electric cars. Yeah, that's what the Elio is. It's kind of a cycle car. It's the two wheels in the front. They look like old Indy car wheels. And then one big tire in the back that powers the whole thing. It's pretty cool. Tim Jenkins says it's a hard job. It is a hard job. It is not an easy job. I thought that would be a great job for me from time to time. And then I think, snow. Man, I wouldn't want to be driving one of those in the snow at all. I think I'd be good driving like very specialized van-sized loads of product or something like that. I think I'd, that I'd be good at. I could probably handle that, but I don't think I'd be good at. I used to do the advertising for Mayflower Transit, and at the time they had a training facility where they'd put water and snow and have guys skid and do all this. I saw that a few times and said, not my cup of tea. But anyway, hey, look, you guys have been awesome. Holidays, Duesenberg topic, not necessarily designed for high viewership, but you were here, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone listening on audio as well. And I'm looking at that old clock on the wall, and it says, well, like the Reverend Al Green, it's time for me to get on up out of here. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Although you should stay here and listen to this banger of a new song I'm going to play you from our musical director, Leon Kennedy. And Tim Jenkinson said it first, but have a great Christmas, Tom. Take care. Gene says, when I was a kid, everyone I knew had a CB radio in the car and the house. It was the cell phone of the 70s. It really was. You could talk to people in your neighborhood. You could talk to the truckers. You could talk to... I love CB radio. I need to get another one. I think I have my old one, but I tried to use it, and it don't work no more. Anyway, I had a base station in my bedroom, which was right along 431 near 465 in Indianapolis. And I got, truckers for 2 or 3 miles, whatever. Anyway, listen. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hope your holidays are merry and bright. And I know that's not the case for everybody. So if Christmas is not a great time for you, I want you to know that we're thinking about you, and hang in there, and it'll get better. It has to. It always does. So, at any rate, with all that being said, other than listen to this really cool song, the new one from our good friend, our music director, Leon Kennedy, the only thing left to say is, till next time. We'll see you next time.
Let me tell you about the year. Let me tell you about the song. Let me tell you about the dancing on the pane, candles flicker in the lane, spiders sway with all 8 feet, keeping to that perfect beat, and Bigfoot hums that mellow tune underneath the winter moon. It's a very gully Christmas where the joy just rolls along. Spiders tapping in the rafters, Bigfoot singing to the song. Oh yeah, a very gully Christmas feels like magic.